All right, let's kick off this deep dive with a little thought experiment. I want you to take a moment, just think about your day so far.
Okay.
Maybe your alarm clock, did it have gears, or you drove a car, perhaps rode a bike, pushed a shopping cart, even just stepping into an elevator.
Lots of things.
Exactly. Now, what do all these incredibly diverse things have in common? Well, almost every single one relies on one singular, ancient, and just utterly foundational invention. Story of the wheel. We're going to explore it not just as, a piece of mechanics, but as a really profound conceptual breakthrough, arguably the single most important invention in human history.
It's a big claim, but yeah, you can definitely make that case.
Our mission is to unpack its incredible journey, from its, surprisingly unobvious origins all the way to its transformative impact on civilization, warfare, trade, industry. You name it.
We'll explore how this simple idea truly set the world in motion.
And just to get us started, here's a little secret. You might be surprised, really surprised, to learn that the wheel's very first use, it was not for transportation.
That often throws people, doesn't it?
It really does. So, okay, before this world-changing invention, let's picture it. Life for early humans, especially when moving anything heavy, must have been just grueling. Pure brute force.
Absolutely. Imagine trying to build something like the pyramids, or even just moving a big stone for a house. What did they have?
Not much, I imagine.
Primarily, it was raw human strength.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people pushing, pulling. Sometimes they figured out, okay, logs underneath could work as rollers.
Right, I've seen pictures of that.
But that was still incredibly slow. You had to keep moving the logs, right? And it only really worked on perfectly flat ground, or they dragged things on sleds.
Which sounds awful, the friction.
Exactly. Immense friction, especially over rough terrain. It severely limited the weight they could move and how far they could actually move it. Just back-breaking work.
That constraint, that physical barrier, it really makes you think about how much it held them back.
Precisely. This wasn't just inconvenient. It put a real cap on societal development. Think about early trade. If you can't easily move your extra grain or your crafts more than a few miles...
The economy stays tiny, local.
Exactly. Very localized. And that stops cities from really expanding beyond their immediate area. Communities stayed small, relatively isolated. It was a tangible, physical barrier to progress. Their whole world was basically only as big as what they could physically drag or carry.
Okay, so then came the first term, literally. And this is where that surprising origin comes in. The leap from pure muscle power to using this new principle.
Right.
It must have felt revolutionary. But, like you hinted, not for carts first.
Not at all. And this is, I think, really fascinating because it just challenges our modern idea of what a wheel is for. Its birth was much more humble. Ingenious, but humble.
So what was it?
The earliest evidence we have, going back to around 3500 BCE in ancient Mesopotamia, specifically the Sumerians, one of the earliest urban cultures.
Right, the cradle of civilization stuff.
Yeah. The first wheels weren't for carts, they were for pottery. The potter's wheel. It predated wheeled carts by centuries, so they understood rotational motion, but for shaping clay, not for moving heavy loads across land.
That really makes you pause, doesn't it? Going from a spinning disc for pots to a cartwheel. That feels like a massive jump in thinking, engineering-wise.
Oh, it was a monumental leap. Absolutely. Because it required solving completely new problems. A potter's wheel spins vertically, right?
Yeah.
To make it work horizontally for transport, you needed two critical brand new inventions. First, a fixed axle, a bar that the wheel spins around.
Okay, the axle.
And second, a hole, precisely in the center of the wheel for that axle. And it had to be round, stable.
Oh.
Think about doing that with early tools.
Tricky. Very tricky.
Extremely. Getting that centered hole right. Designing some kind of bearing so it turns smoothly without tons of friction or just braking. These were huge challenges. Get it wrong, the wheel wobbles, breaks, the car won't go straight.
It's useless.
Pretty much. So you needed the wheel and the axle working together. That was the key insight for transport.
It's the system, not just the part. Do we actually have pictures or evidence of those really early wheeled vehicles?
We do, remarkably. The first known depiction comes from the Bronius pot, found in Poland. Dates to about 3400 BCE.
Wow, not long after the potter's wheel then.
Relatively speaking, no. And it clearly shows a four-wheeled wagon. Now, these first transport wheels, they were solid chunks of wood, sometimes maybe one piece, sometimes planks joined together.
Heavy. Must have been incredibly heavy.
Oh, absolutely. Heavy, bulky, not elegant at all, but revolutionary. They allowed for early animal-pulled carts. Suddenly you could move way more stuff that a person or even an animal could carry on its back. It just opened up a whole new scale of movement.
Right, and this is where things really start to accelerate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Once you attach that wheel axle system to a cart, boom, game changer for civilization.
Absolutely fundamental. Moving heavy goods wasn't just about brute force anymore. It completely revolutionized transport over greater distances. Trade networks just exploded.
Okay, so how did that ripple outwards? What were the immediate effects?
Well, think construction. Suddenly you can move massive stones, big timbers. Cities could build taller structures, temples, fortifications, aqueducts. The whole urban landscape changed.
Became more ambitious.
Much more. And economies grew larger, more complex. Farmers could get crops to markets further away. Traders could cross regions. Communities became more connected. They could specialize because they weren't just relying on what was right there.
And you mentioned agriculture earlier too. How did the wheel specifically change farming?
It was foundational there as well. Think wheeled plows. Suddenly you can cultivate larger fields more efficiently, frees up labor.
Right.
And then the carts, moving the harvest, carrying water,
Yeah.
supplies. It boosted agricultural output massively, which in turn fed the growing populations in those expanding cities we just talked about. The wheel literally fueled and fed civilization's growth.
But it wasn't all peaceful growth and trade, was it? Warfare. The chariot comes to mind instantly.
Yes, the chariot, a truly potent application. This fast, wheeled vehicle just dominated battlefields for centuries, became a symbol of power, prestige. Think Egypt, the Romans.
A status symbol, but also deadly effective.
Absolutely. It wasn't just speed, it was psychological warfare too. Imagine infantry facing a charge of chariots. Terrifying. Plus, they were mobile platforms for archers or commanders directing the battle. Gave armies speed, flexibility. A huge advantage. It really changed how wars were fought.
It sounds like it was just this perfect universal invention, but were there places or situations where the wheel maybe wasn't the best solution or didn't catch on?
That's a really important nuance, actually. It wasn't universally perfect everywhere immediately. Think about very mountainous areas or dense jungles.
Roads would be difficult.
Exactly. Building roads was hard, and wheeled carts just weren't efficient there. Pack animals, or even people carrying loads, often remained better options in that kind of terrain. And interestingly, in some parts of the Americas, they actually had the idea of the wheel. We see it in small toys.
Really? Wheeled toys?
Yeah, but it didn't really develop into a major transportation tool, maybe partly because they lacked large domestic animals suitable for pulling heavy carts, like oxen or horses, and the terrain was often challenging. So yeah, its impact was huge, but context mattered. Geography, available animals, these played a role.
Fascinating. So environment shapes technology adoption too. But overall, where it did take hold, it clearly opened up the world. Peaceful trade, spreading ideas, culture. It carried knowledge just as much as goods.
Definitely. Civilizations like the Sumerians, Egyptians, Greeks, they expanded their influence partly because the wheel made connecting and supplying distant territories feasible. Cities flourished. And crucially, they started building extensive road networks specifically for these wheeled vehicles. So the wheel literally reshaped the physical geography.
Connecting the world, building empires. Amazing. Now, these early wheels were solid wood, heavy, as you said. How did the wheel itself evolve from there? What were the next big steps?
Well, for a surprisingly long time, almost 2,000 years, they stuck with solid wheels. They worked, but yeah, heavy and limited speed. The next really major improvement came around 2000 BCE with the invention of the spoked wheel.
Ah, that seems like a big deal. Lighter.
Much lighter. Replacing that solid bulk with spokes made wheels dramatically lighter. That meant vehicles could be faster, much more agile, more maneuverable. This was absolutely crucial for developing those fast horse-drawn chariots we talked about.
Right, speed and agility.
Exactly. And it wasn't just for war. Lighter wagons meant more efficient transport for everyone. It gave speed and power, a huge upgrade.
So lighter wheels, faster vehicles. Were there other key improvements after spokes?
Yeah, later on, they added things like iron rims. That gave the wooden wheel much more strength and durability. Especially important as roads weren't exactly smooth highways back then. Made them last longer, handle rougher use.
Okay, so spokes, then metal rims, and then we jump quite a bit forward for the next truly massive leap, right? Something we barely think about now.
Absolutely. Fast forward to 1888, John Boyd Dunlop invents the pneumatic tire. The air-filled tire.
Which changed everything again.
Completely. Suddenly you had much better ride comfort, obviously, but also way better grip, shock absorption. It reduced wear and tear on the vehicle, on the roads. It enabled the high speeds and safety we expect from modern transport. Modern cars, bikes, planes, they rely on pneumatic tires.
It's a great example of how an ancient concept just keeps getting refined, adapted. Today's wheel isn't just wood or metal anymore. It's advanced alloys, complex designs, precision engineering.
It really is a testament to continuous innovation.
Right.
But let's broaden out again. It's not just about wheels rolling on roads or rails, is it? When we think about the principle of the wheel, the concept of rotation, how deeply is that embedded in everything else?
That's a great question, because it feels like it's
Yes.
everywhere. Once you start looking, it's not just literal transport. It's a fundamental mechanical principle. Think about the gears in a clock, tiny wheels making things work precisely, or the turbine in a jet engine spinning incredibly fast.
Or even simpler things like pulleys for lifting heavy weights, or cogs transmitting power in machinery. They're all using that core idea of rotation.
Even older examples, windmills grinding grain, water wheels powering mills. It's the wheels principle turning natural forces into work.
It's absolutely fundamental, the mechanical advantage you get from rotation.
So how did this ancient principle then become so central, so indispensable to something like the Industrial Revolution? That seems like a key transition point.
It was arguably the absolute linchpin. The Industrial Revolution ran on rotation. Gears, pulleys, flywheels, they were the heart of steam engines, the spinning jenny, power looms, all those early factory machines.
Right, connecting everything.
Yes, transmitting power efficiently through systems of rotating parts. That allowed for mass production on a scale never seen before. And of course, railways. Steam trains, moving goods and people across continents, entirely dependent on the wheel. Modern industry was built on the wheel.
It's almost impossible to overstate its role then. And today, its presence is just total. Cars, bikes, planes, sure, but even inside computers. Maybe tiny spinning drives or fans, shopping carts, office chairs, luggage.
Space rovers on Mars?
Exactly. Space rovers, it literally drives our world forward. If you try just for a second to imagine life without it, transport vanishes, most machines stop, industries collapse.
It's woven into the fabric of everything we do. And beyond just the mechanics, it's become this powerful symbol too, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has. Symbolizing what? Ingenuity? Progress.
I think all of that. Human ingenuity, overcoming limits, the drive to improve, and the circle itself, its basic form. It speaks to unity, cycles, continuity. Many cultures have adopted it spiritually or philosophically.
Like the Buddhist Dharma wheel.
Exactly, symbolizing the path to enlightenment. Or you see circle motifs in Celtic symbols representing life cycles, eternity. It resonates deeply, far beyond just being a tool.
But of course, there's a flip side in the modern world. The sheer success of the wheel, especially in transport, has led to new challenges.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Millions, billions of vehicles. They contribute significantly to pollution, climate change. That mobility came with a cost we're now grappling with.
Which brings us back to innovation, doesn't it?
It does. The wheel story isn't over. Now the focus is on making it sustainable. We're seeing huge innovation in electric vehicles, better public transport, more efficient designs, advanced materials, all trying to keep the benefits of the wheel while mitigating the downsides.
Greener wheels for the future.
Essentially, yes. Keeping the wheel turning, but responsibly. It shows how adaptable this ancient invention still is, now being applied to solve our future problems.
What an incredible arc. From a simple tool for shaping clay in Mesopotamia It transformed transportation, war, farming, powered the Industrial Revolution, and now it's at the heart of sustainable technology efforts. It truly shaped human destiny.
It really did. An astonishing journey.
So as you go about your day today, maybe just think about this. The wheel started small, solving one problem, shaping clay. Then it exploded, changing everything. What seemingly simple solution, maybe in your own field or something you're just curious about, what could be the next wheel? That fundamental idea waiting to reshape our world in ways we can't even imagine yet. Just take a moment, look around, spot the wheel in action.
Yeah.
You'll be amazed how often you see this quiet, ancient wonder still moving us all forward.